started. I've got a lot of requests for questions here, so we'll try to get through as many as we can. You can make your question requests on the chat. Again, we're just going to go with one question at a time since we have so many people on here. So our first question will be Bob Kravitz with The Athletic.
Hey, Trayce, can you just take us through the process of making this decision and how much impact did it have that you were not able to go to the pre-draft camp because of COVID?
Yeah, it was after not being able to attend the NBA Combine, coming down with COVID, it kind of puts a damper on things that I've been working on throughout the NBA process. So I thought it was go stop, but I thought it was made the decision quite easy, honestly. I probably still could have done some draft workouts, but with COVID, I'll be right back. I'm gonna put my dog in. Sorry about that. But so basically, at not being able to attend the combine, I probably still could have done draft workouts and tried to raise my stock. But I felt like this decision for coming back was the right one and easy choice. So,
Greg Doyle.
Hey, Trayce, given that, well, first of all, are you at your home or your parents' home?
I'm at my parents' home.
Okay. Given that there's two things at stake play here, right? I mean, obviously you want IU to be as good as possible and you came back to help them win, but you want to be as good as possible. How do you balance that? And what do you ask of Coach Woodson to make sure that you can achieve both?
I think the biggest thing with both, obviously, I want IU to be as good as possible. I think that I elevate their team a lot, but just overall, in the sense of me playing away from the basket more, I think pick and rolls more, kind of what we did at the end of the season is going to be big, pick and pops and stuff like that. Just using what I used from this NBA draft process going into next year, especially with the feedback that I got. So,
Jace.
Hey, Trayce, hope you're doing well. You talked about earlier in regards to kind of like what you want to see going forward in the future. You were on the Hoosier Hysterics podcast. So you want to say, you know, you want the offseason work to be changed up. You want the way practice is ran to be changed up. Is that more from an intensity standpoint, to be more intense earlier on? Or do you want more kind of a more different approach on the skill set and things you work on in that point of view?
I think intensity wise, I think we had a great team. I think everyone worked as hard as possible, but just the things that we were working on, we ran a lot last year and it was more emphasis on defense. So having more emphasis on the offensive game plan, because our defense is going to carry over from last year. We just got to speed some of the younger guys up, but I think the biggest thing for us would probably be offensively, more sense, stuff of that nature. So I'm just trying to get meshed together more, play with different guys. Like last year we had two teams and it was like the starting five and the bench, and we would play against each other. We would never switch up the teams, as where the starting five and the bench players would play together. So I think that's huge for us to just get our team chemistry better.
Peegs.
Hey, Trayce. You're the first big draft decision we've seen with the NIL earnings out there for a little while. Did that impact you at all? Did you set a little higher bar for the draft, or have you seen some of your other friends that have gone through the process affected by it?
Obviously the NIL with all the free agency is basically what it is, but with the transfer portal and all of that stuff, it didn't impact my decision. I was never looking at another school or seeing who was going to reach out and give me the most money to go there. So it was never anything like that. I was either going to the draft or staying at IU. So I wouldn't consider the NIL to be a big reason why I stayed, even though I know there's probably going to be money there and opportunity there, which I'm blessed to be in that situation. But obviously, I'm going to use it to my advantage. But I'm here to play basketball and finish my degree. So,
Tyler.
Hey Trayce, I hope you're doing well. How and when did you tell Mike Woodson that you were going to be coming back to IU, and what was his reaction to it?
He was kind of surprised actually, because I was the one that was actually called him to host the meeting on Thursday. So I told him on Thursday. We had a long talk about, especially the offseason stuff, kind of some things that I envisioned to help our team be successful, because this was his first year in college basketball. So I was just waiting to see what he would do with his way, and then taking the stuff that I've learned from the other 2 seasons under Coach Miller and incorporating some of the stuff that I think would benefit us was big. So we talked about that. And then I told him at the very end of the meeting that I was going to come back. And then he was ecstatic. He was ready to go. He was really pumped up. So he's probably still smiling right now.
Jim Coyle.
Trayce, congratulations on making your decision and getting out of the way. How much was that a relief in and of itself? And what are your expectations now coming back for this team for your final season?
It was a big relief. You got people asking every day what your decision's going to be. Before I got COVID, I really wasn't even set on what I was going to do. I was going to just see what happened at the NBA Combine, try to show out there and take it from there. But after getting COVID and not even having symptoms, but just I kept testing positive. So I just felt like it was a sign that I should return. But it was a huge relief. And then the expectations that I have for our team, I would say the biggest thing for me is trying to win a championship. Obviously take it first with the Big Ten and then see what happens in the NCAA tournament. So.
Alex.
Hey Trayce, thanks for the time. I'm curious, you talked a little bit about this, but the outside shooting and wanting to expand that part of your game, is that something that you feel like you haven't been asked to do in the past and that you're comfortable doing, or is it something you're not comfortable doing previously, or like how do you kind of assess that and how do you integrate that into your game moving forward when you're as dominant as you have been around the paint?
So this is the way Coach Woodson explained it to me. He said that, especially last year, I was so dominant on the low block that I really didn't need to do that. And it's still going to be to a sense of where I'm still going to have dominance. I'm not going to just utterly forget about that. So the biggest thing for me is just adding just a few jump shots here and there to my game. So he said I have to shoot 4 or 5 jump shots a game, and I'm still going to get 10 to 12 shots under the rim. So just incorporating it to it, especially in practice to start. So.
Rab Johns.
Thanks, man. Trayce, what's up, man? Hey, so when you were out there in LA, give me 3 or 4 things that you really focused on that you felt either A, you got better at, or B, you got a lot more confident at and felt like, yeah, I can take this with me, whether it's going to the NBA or going back to IU. I can really take this with me and make it an impact tool.
I think the biggest thing when I was out in California, I was getting trained like a guard, ball handling, shooting, just reading movements off the dribble, catch and shoot. And it was a lot of like 2-on-2, 3-on-3, stuff of that nature to really help work on your outside game. So it was all of those components that were really going to help me in the future. So.
Gotcha. Thanks, bud.
Dustin.
Hey, Trayce. First question, you mentioned not having symptoms. I just want to check, I mean, how are you feeling at this point? And to stick with the feedback, what else did you hear? And what did you have an opportunity to, hear as far as who did you get to talk to? What's the feedback process like if you don't go to the combine?
It's a lot different. Obviously with the feedback from the GMs, they said I was going to get drafted. So anywhere between the beginning to late second round. So, and then the way that I boost my stock is to show out at the combine, show them I can shoot the ball and stuff of that nature. The defensive, not just playing on big guys, but switching out and guarding the perimeter. So I didn't get a chance to do that. So it sucks, but at the same time, I'm just blessed that I don't have any COVID symptoms. And it was just, I was kind of asymptomatic. So that was good.
Mike Schumann.
Yeah, hey Trayce, thanks for the time. I know you guys lost some guys to the transfer portal, but I think for the most part, you know, the people that were expected to make major contributions next season are all coming back, including Race and others. Why do you think that is? Why are you and others clicking so well with Coach Woodson?
I just think Coach Woodson was just, from the beginning, the moment that he got here, he was told it's going to be a family. And I think all of the players took that to heart. We all hold each other accountable. We pick guys up, and he's the same way. He's a great coach, and he does things the right way. I asked last year, Carmelo Anthony. He told me he was his favorite coach that he's ever played for, and I can see why now. So just having that, and the leader of the head of the snake is the guy that you want, and that's Coach Woodson. And he's all around a great guy, and he has great characters. So
Kevin Brockway.
Trayce, yeah, kind of following along those lines with Race coming back, Jordan, and the addition of Malik Renaud, I'm just curious about your thoughts about the potential of this front court, and even Malik being a lefty and kind of a similar game to you, if he's a guy you can kind of take under your wing a little bit.
absolutely. Especially with Malik, he's a great player. I've watched a little bit of his film. The big thing with him too, he's a winner, so that's great. Mott Bird, that's a powerhouse team. Him and Jalen coming in, they're going to make huge contributions. I have no doubt about that. They're very mature for their grades, and I'm going to take him under my wing this summer and get to work, play against him, play with him, see how he is, and we're just going to take it from there. But I expect them to be ready to play.
Zach.
Trayce, I guess circling back to Peegs' question about NIL, did you even see it? Like, was it something that teams were bringing up? Was it something that when you interacted with other guys going through workouts, they might be bringing up? I mean, was it kind of in the slipstream of the pre-draft process for you at all, even just in a maybe kind of a bigger picture sort of way, or no?
Not really. The only I saw as much as you guys did. I just saw things on Twitter, guys getting deals, stuff of that nature. I really didn't think much of it. I mean, if they want to go play for those places and make that money, that's on them. I'm thinking more big picture with my university and program. And the NBA has a lot of money there, so that's going to be there when it's time. But I felt like coming back to school was the right thing for me. So I don't think it had that big of an impact on me. We didn't really talk about it that much. So
Tom Brew.
Hey, Trayce, welcome back. Hey, one thing I wanted to ask you with this incoming class coming in, you just talked about with Jalen and Malik and Caleb and CJ and such. Do you feel like this is going to be the best Indiana team you've played on? And is there any cap at all as to what you guys can accomplish this year?
Absolutely. I think this is the best team that I've been on since I've been here. And it's not even the sense that it's the talent that we have. We have talent all across the board, from the guards all the way down to the centers. We have dudes that care about the program, are here for the right things. And I think the big thing that we didn't have last year that we have this year is our team chemistry. Last year, we had 3 guys come in and start for us that we didn't know, like we never played with them. We had to build all our chemistry over the summer. So having a full year of already experience with them and then adding 2, 3, or 4 freshmen in, I think it's going to be huge for us. I think the ceiling for our team is anywhere between Big Ten championship and national championship. If I'm going to be honest with you, I set my standards high. We had those standards last year, but obviously it wasn't the way our season went. But knowing that guys, I think now knowing with guys and what they do, their tendencies and what they're capable of, I think it's going to be huge for us. And now Coach Woodson kind of has a year under college under his belt, and that's going to be big for him as well. So
Dylan Sin.
Hey, Trayce. I guess I just wanted to ask, what were your conversations like with your teammates as you made this decision, and what was it like getting to tell them that you were coming back and that you guys could run it back from last year?
They were all excited. And the thing was, they really didn't bother me that much about my decision. Obviously, X was a big advocate on Twitter, but I talked to Race a little bit about it. But they all were like, make the best decision for you. Obviously, they're ecstatic that I'm coming back, but there's all my guys. I haven't seen them in 2 months, so I can't wait to just get back down there on campus and go see them. So, but they're excited and they're ready to work. I think they expect the same things that I do.
Okay, I'm going to start another round. If you want to get in on the chat, first secondary question, Bob Kravitz.
Yeah, Trayce, on the podcast, you said something really interesting that you had mentioned to Coach Woodson that if guys test positive for drugs, you want them out after their first strike instead of the 3-strike situation. Why did you feel that was something that was important to you?
Well, now just me being a senior, it's different. It's my last year. It's my last time being at IU, and I don't want anything of that nature ruining our season. I mean, if you're that selfish to do that during the season, then you don't need to play for this university. I think it's plain and simple. They've kind of been sticklers about it, but it's always giving chances and chances and chances. And being the team captain, I feel like we've had enough chances. We're mature enough to know what's right and what's wrong. And that's a big thing for us. I think it was a big thing in a lot of the teams that I've been on with the drugs affecting our team. So we're not having that this year. We have enough.
Did you feel like it impacted your team last year?
Not necessarily as much last year. I think more just getting in trouble in general. Obviously, there's things that happen behind the scenes, but I'm not really going to go into that. But it definitely has had effects in the past. So I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you.
Tyler.
Trayce, you mentioned the decision being pretty easy once you tested positive for COVID and couldn't go to the combine, but was there like a specific moment or kind of conversation when it kind of flipped for you and you decided you definitely wanted to come back?
I think the moment for me was when I tested negative. I tested negative on Monday, and I was going to fly out Tuesday. So I took another test Tuesday morning, and that one came back positive. So I tested negative and then positive again. And I was like, well, that's definitely a sign I probably should just shut it down. And then I tested again positive on Wednesday. So at that point, I was like, I'm not really in game shape. I've been dormant and not been doing anything for about a week and a half, just testing positive and just being at home, not being able to work out. So I wasn't in season and ready to play. So I felt that if I couldn't play in the games, then there wasn't really a point for me going there.
Dustin.
Just to take it back to NIL, but also kind of involve the G League in this, I guess. Like what, as far as like where you might have been picked or whatever, I mean, I guess was the G League maybe less of an interesting option because of NIL? Because it was a situation where you didn't have to go somewhere to get a paycheck, that there was going to be some kind of money. Did that factor in any way? And I guess how much did you consider, I guess, the possibility of, a situation where you might have gotten drafted later or even be a priority sort of undrafted free agent and would lead to the likely scenario of you starting your first year in the G League?
Yeah. So even with the G League, the only way, there's players in the G League now that are still on guaranteed contracts. And so if I had to go develop in the G League, I wouldn't mind doing that as long as I was guaranteed a contract. So that was my big thing. If I was guaranteed a contract in the second round, then I would have stayed in the draft. But that's not what happened. And I didn't think that's what was going to happen. And so I felt like coming back to school was the best option. We didn't really talk about NIL or any of those type of deals. So I know the money is out there, but we're just going to play it by ear and see what happens. So it was really it was a guaranteed contract. So I could have played in the G League. I would have been fine with that if it was for my development purposes.
Alec, lastly.
Hey, Trayce, the word legacy is thrown around a lot, especially nowadays. When you now look at your career and you look back, coming back for your last season, how do you really want to be remembered for your time at Indiana?
I think the biggest thing for me is just obviously a player that works super hard on and off the court, set the examples, set standards high. And it's been hard for us because we haven't had a lot of success in the winning column. But I feel like now with this team, it's going to be huge for us. We finally have talent and there's actual expectations for what we can do. And so just trying to get one championship under my belt, whether it be Big Ten or national. Well, obviously I would want national more, but starting with the Big Ten, I think it would be huge because I feel like we're a top 3 team right now there. And so I love having expectations and having pressure with that situation because we've never had it in the past.
Tom Brew.
Trayce, just to kind of follow up a little bit on a couple of your answers there in regards to team chemistry and such. Last year, UNX really the last 3-4 weeks of the season did a lot of great things together. But you also have talked about the leadership aspect of things, about people doing stuff right. What sort of conversations have you had with him since his incident last spring, and the importance of him of being in that senior leader as well on a team like this?
Yeah, most definitely. I think X is going to have his head straight. He's going to be with me most of the time, me and Race. So that's who he's going to hang out with, who he's going to be with. And we're going to make the right decisions. He's going to make the right decisions for us. There's not going to be any of that. No funny business going on. Coach Woodson and him have already had those discussions. So he's ready to go. He's ready to get started and work for next year. So
Jim Coyle.
Trayce, talked about legacy was mentioned, and I know this is not why you came back, but if you have a season similar to what you had last year, you have the opportunity to end up as I think the 3rd leading scorer, 1st in blocks, 1st in rebounds for Indiana. How important would that be to achieve that? But to do that, to not have a Big Ten title with that, how disappointing would it be to not have both?
yeah, exactly. So I'm a person who I'd rather score or not score 2,000 points. I'd rather get the championship. If I don't need to score that much and we're playing really well, then that's what we're going to do. I'm an unselfish player. I'm a team player, but I'm going to do what my coach wants me to do. So I think we have enough talent to where I don't have to score 20 to 25 points a game. I can easily score 17, 18 points and be fine. And I think we'd still win. So it's just going to be what our team is like and what's working for us. And so I'm more set on winning the Big Ten than trying to chase records. If we're playing the right way, I think the records will come and I'll still be able to get them.
And what would they mean to you to achieve that?
To achieve those things, it's huge. There's only, I think, 4 or 5 players that have scored 2,000 points. And then 1 player or 2 players that have had 1,000 rebounds. And just being mentioned in that category with how good of those players are. You mentioned names like Calvert, Steve Alford, Alan Henderson. Like, just, it's crazy. Just to be even mentioned in that category is huge. And so, but right now I'm focused on a championship. So.
You left out Coach Woodson. You're going to hear about that.
Yeah, Coach Woodson too.
Jace.
You also mentioned kind of going back to that podcast that one person you want to hold you accountable in the gym, especially towards that midseason when your legs start getting tired, is Tamar Bates. Being able to work with him, you always talk about how Tamar's a gym rat. Where do you see his ceiling this year and, what he can bring to the team? Because we did see glimpses of it last year.
Most definitely. The big thing with Tamar, I think he got derailed last season with a couple of family things that happened in his corner. And so that's some stiff things you can't control, and it really messes up your mentality. And so I think he's back. He's got his head straight. He's ready to get to work. And he's a guy that I was with all summer in the gym. He was trying to get better. And then as the season goes around, that mental aspect, you start to lose it a little bit. But I think this year, having 1 year under his belt, he's going to know how to attack that and handle that. And I'm going to be right there with him, helping him.
Jack Ankeny.
Hey, Trayce. So defense was obviously a strength for you guys last year, but I guess how much do you think the team's offense can improve this upcoming season? And I guess where specifically do you think those improvements will come from?
I just think that at the end of the year is when our offense really started clicking, minus the last game. And then I think the pick and roll was big for us and having the space floor. So I think that was huge for us. And then obviously the shooting, we're going to have to be better at shooting. So we're going to be in the gym all summer working on that, and then just playing with each other. a lot of guys didn't get the chance to play with the certain guys last year, and I think that's going to change. We're going to mix it around a lot. So we spent the whole year last year focused on defense, and we rarely focused on our offense. So just seeing what we can do and how much we can achieve with actually putting more time and effort into it is going to be really key for us.
Okay, two more questions. Rick Bozich, then Mike Schumann.
Yeah, hi Trayce. Thanks for doing this. How much did your outlook, or how much did your encouragement or enthusiasm change from the way you guys finished the season last year, with the turnaround in the Michigan game, and then what you did in the Big Ten tournament? How much did that make you more enthused about coming back and finish or taking it to another level?
I just really think that it shows, like, when you're playing well, it's literally the whole state is behind you. And everyone gets excited. There's teams that I was watching when we were playing. There's teams like Michigan State. There was even other fans. I'm not going to say the names of the teams, but there are other fans cheering. So when Indiana basketball is good, college basketball is good. I'll say that. So, and I think we have a chance to be really, really good next year.
Last question, Mike Schumann.
Yeah, Trayce, just wanted to go back to your training out in California. There was a video that came out of you shooting and playing out on the perimeter, and it's hard to tell in a quick video, but it looked like you may have tweaked your shot mechanics a little bit. Is that right? And what have you done to kind of work on your shot beyond just kind of getting shots up?
I wouldn't necessarily say I tweaked my shot. I think the only thing that I changed was just what the guy that I was training with in LA said. He said, when you catch it, always look to shoot first. And I think the biggest thing for me is when I would catch the ball, I would always wait and see what to do instead of just letting it go. And so I feel like when I'm in rhythm and when I'm shooting the ball without any hesitation, it's a totally different looking shot, especially when I'm shooting with confidence. So that was just my natural looking shot. I didn't tweak anything about it.
All right, Trayce, thank you. And for the media, we should have a transcript available that I'll send out via email probably within the next half hour, 45 minutes. Trayce, we'll see you when you get back.